Today's youth need teachers, volunteers, and most of all, well, they need you. I'm Doug Edwards, and I'm going to be talking with real youth mentors and students to give you the knowledge you need to be the best youth worker possible. This is Youth Worker on Fire. Thanks again for visiting us here on Youth Worker on Fire. Some of you are not just visiting, you are right in here with us. You are here every week, just as we upload a new episode every Wednesday. You are listening. You are there to where it is uploading right on wherever you're listening to your podcast. And now, for this next episode of Youth Worker on Fire, keeping score. You know what? Somebody is keeping score. Now, we say we're not, but the scoreboard in youth ministry isn't always how many come to the events. It's faithfulness to Christ. But I'm telling you, someone's also counting the numbers. And what are the numbers? Some people are afraid of numbers. That might be you. Jesus was not afraid of numbers, though. The other people were jealous because a lot of people came to see him. Sometimes there were 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 people. And we're talking thousands at a time where there was no cell phones, there was no internet, there was just word of mouth. Why? Because Jesus was bringing what people needed, not only for then, but for the rest of eternity, the rest of this life on this earth. He had a message that people just could not get enough of and wanted, which was about him. And so somebody is keeping score in student ministry too. You say, well, we don't compare, and and someone in our board or some parents going, I think you're focusing too much on too many other kids way out there in the community, and you're not focusing enough time on our children. Well, hopefully you are focusing enough time in both places. That's what discipleship programs are for. That's what all of these other things are for. On Sunday morning, you need to spend individual time with those students that are from your church and your board members' kids. They are paying the bills and helping you to do some of these things. But if you're not reaching out into the community and not afraid of how many come, but looking forward to people that are coming, because new numbers means new individuals, personalities that possibly are going to come to Christ for the first time, then you've got to readjust your focus to make sure that you're doing what you're supposed to do for those students there that are already at church, but also to bring new people and have them bring their friends so that they can see God at work in their life in a way that they could never see if you didn't encourage that. We encouraged often for our students to bring their friends. If they're part of a band, the marching band or the band program, the music program at their school, to bring those students with them. If they're part of a social club or an event club or cheerleaders or someone like that at the school or an academic club, to bring those friends. If they're part of a sports club, to bring their entire sports team, to feel free to bring them. And because we encouraged that in our students, they did that. And some people were going, well, there's just too many of those people. You're focusing on them. You're on campus. Well, our students are on campus too. Now, you might say, well, my whole student ministry is homeschool kids. Great. Have them bring as many homeschool students as they can bring, because remember, most of them have homeschooling groups which are full of other students. And they'll either bring them or they won't, because people are more protective in homeschooling environments. We public schooled our children, my wife and I. We also private schooled them, and there were times that we homeschooled them. It depended on the need at which time. So we understand a little bit of all those worlds. And we understand also, though, that Jesus was about everybody, not just somebody. And there was times he focused on just somebody so that everybody could understand his love for them. And so when you lead their students to Christ, or you encourage them and show them how to lead their friends to Jesus, and those students come to know Christ, it ignites a flame inside them. So it is about the scoreboard. It is about the reward that's going to be in heaven. But those things that people are keeping score of, you need to be a leader enough to help them understand what the scoreboard is. It is about their child, but if their child doesn't see God moving and changing the lives of other people their age and transforming them from darkness to light, then they will not believe that that is what God is about, that it's only about internalizing and having everything for them. That's not what Jesus was about, and it's not what he was teaching anyone. Matthew 25:21 says, "Well done, good and faithful servant." Well done at what? Well done at sharing who I am, at telling the world that there is a God who loves them, and telling students that there's a God who loves them and loves their friends as well. 1 Corinthians 15:58 says, "Stand firm. Your labor in the Lord is not in vain." Encourage each other. God keeps track of every act of love and service. You see, Jesus loved those 4,000 people, those 5,000 people. He fed them. He loved them so much. They said, "What are we going to do? We're going to send them away. There's no food. They're hungry by now. You've been speaking for a long time. They've been with us for a long time. We're not even near a town." And he said, "What do you have? You feed them." "Well, we don't have anything to feed them." "We'll go find out what you do have. Bring it to me." "Oh, this is one little boy over here. He's got a few fishes and a few loaves of bread." "Okay, that's enough." And Jesus broke it and he shared it with everyone. They said they fed the 4,000. The next time they fed the 5,000. And remember, they're counting men, 4,000 men or 5,000 men. That didn't count the women and children. There should have been more than the 4,000 or the 5,000. And at the end of one of those events, there were still 12 baskets just from a few fish and a few loaves of bread. Jesus blessed and broke it and broke it and broke it and broke it till everyone was fed. And there were baskets, 12 baskets, enough for each disciple. After they gathered all the leftovers up, there was still more for them to eat. And so God is keeping score. Heaven is keeping score. Your church may be keeping score. Other churches may be looking at you and going, "Their scoreboard's bigger than ours. They've got more students than we do. You got to do better over here." But remember, it is not about the score they're keeping. It's the score heaven's keeping. Keep your vision. Is your vision bigger than your church's vision? One reason I was able to stay 29 years at one place, 6 years at one community, or 5.5 in a youth for Christ, and 29 years at one church is because my vision, because I was taught, not because it was some great guru myself or someone who had this, God and I were talking and I had this great vision. No, it was because Youth for Christ taught me, here is the vision that you can have. It's much bigger and much broader than you ever dreamed possible. God wants to do more in you and more in your community than you could ever imagine. We found this out about advertisement. There's a rule of thumb in advertisement. You only get 1 to 10% of whoever you invite to an event. If your goal is 10, you might get 1. If your goal is 100, you might only get 1 or 10 students out of that. We would mail to the entire student body and the entire community of 4 communities. That's 4 high schools, 4 middle schools. We would also reach out to the community college that was near us to do separate events for each age group. Not all one event, but one event per age group. And we would do several of those a year to where we were a household name as a church. And it was a growing church. It was a church that was only 2 years old by the time they hired me. It was craziness that they would even think of hiring a youth pastor full-time. It's the right thing to do, but most people didn't do the right thing when they're growing a church like that. And I was trained by one of the greatest organizations, so I brought in a bigger vision than the church ever had. My vision stayed larger than church's vision. So much so that at the end, when they didn't want to grow the way they could have, that they did not want to see what we had to offer, what their original vision was, which is why they hired me. They hired me for the vision that Youth for Christ and God had already put in my spirit. And so we would invite the full school system. And sometimes the first few times we did it, we'd invite those 4 high schools and 4 middle schools. We got maybe 30, 40, 50 people to a large event. But over year after year after year, it grew and grew and grew. And at one point, we had as many as 700 students. In fact, they stopped counting at 700. We took it off campus. We partnered with the YMCA, which was central to our 4 community area. And the other youth workers bought into that and stuff. The rest of the years that we did it at our place, and probably was a mistake because it made the other youth pastors feel like it was our thing and not our thing together. But it was just my church's thing. And had we stayed separate, and even though we hosted it and paid for most of it, we would have gathered more and more. But we averaged anywhere from 300 to 600 people 300 to 500 people per event for the years after that. And that's middle schoolers, 300 one night, high schoolers, 300 another night, and the next night. And then we'd do college students later. So somebody's keeping score, but heaven's keeping score mostly because he's going, what have you done with what I've given you? What have you done with the talents I've given you, with the vision I've given to you? Have you decided, no, it's too hard, it's too scary, my board members are too upset with me because somebody's unhappy? By the way, someone was always unhappy with me. Someone will always be unhappy with you. But when the vision starts taking place and starts growing, the people who understand and see that vision jump on board, and there will be more of them than there will be those who are going, no, it's too much, it's not the right thing, what about my child, you're leaving them out. And we weren't leaving them out. Our vision was to help grow them with us. And those who bought in saw the vision, and their students benefited and grew. And many of them grew into ministries themselves as they grew older as adults. Those students started ministering to many, many people in different parts of our nation, different parts of our state, different parts of our community. So make sure that you keep track of every act of love and service that God has put you on track for. Even when no one thanks you, heaven is cheering you on. See you next time on Youth Worker on Fire. And remember, youthworkeronfire@gmail.com. Drop us a voicemail, drop us an email, and let us know what you're thinking, what's happening, and how this episode has helped you. Send it out to someone you know. You're thinking of somebody right now, or some group of youth workers. Send it to them. See you next time.
You've been listening to the Youth Worker on Fire podcast. If you like what you hear, please subscribe and tell your friends. Also, leave a comment and tell us what you think. Stay tuned for more informative episodes.